And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
There's certainly a group of people out there who love what are called the 18XX games, 1856, 1834, 18EU. There's all kinds of 1800 style games about building trains and buying stock, the combination. I've always been semi-interested in these games, but they seem very, very complex, and they certainly want a great deal of your time. So when I heard about 18EZ, which is a game that is supposed to help teach you the series, I was very intrigued because here's a way I can learn about 1800 games and know how to play them. So I'm coming at this from the perspective of someone who's not played one before. The rule book, which is very nicely written out, I thought it was a very well written rule book. And I still had to read it multiple times and still wasn't quite sure on how the game exactly worked, just because some of the concepts are, to me, a little bit difficult to grasp. But they write it in 3 levels. In level 1, they're talking to you basically about just building track on the board and how that works and building your train system. Level 2 adds pretty much most of the game, where you're buying shares of different companies and controlling companies as you build the track across the board and making money. And then level 3 adds a few other things, like that has what was called the start packet, has minor trains and private companies, and also basically takes the game to its complete conclusion. 18EZ is not based on any historical background. The board itself, you can see right here, is just some kind of mishmash random board that players will be playing on. And again, that's so that they can, you're learning the game without getting bogged down in historical details. Now, I played this game a couple times. Once with some people who had not played before. We played the easiest level. Then I played the second level with some people who were very much understanding of the 1800 series. And then I played the third level with someone, and we played on a more, both. I knew what I was doing from having played the other games, but still learning a bit of how the game worked. And I've come to the conclusion that the 1800 series is not for me, really. I understand it now, and I could play, I think, 1800 games and know how to play them, to bid on companies, to put down track and such, but I don't know that I would be able to, the strategy eludes me, and I'm not sure that I'm getting sick of trains after a couple hours at the table. The components for this game are not stellar components, but they're pretty good. And the laminated paper, this is a train company, and this is where tokens go to put down train stations. This is where the train's money is kept, and then down here is where train cards are kept, and you can see an example of a train card. This is can link 2 areas, and it costs $100. And there's different train cards. The stocks for the different companies are the same thing. Now, if you haven't played an 1800 game before, this is how it works. You don't actually own a train company. Instead, you are buying stock in a train company. And so let's say here I own 4 shares of the Purple Train Company, which is actually called the Purple Springs and Western Railroad. If I own the most stocks of a company, I'm the president of that company. And so I will take the purple board, put it in front of me, and I control that company. And when that company makes money by transporting kind of invisible goods, but basically by being connected between different cities, when that company makes money, I can put that money back in the company, or I can give that money to everybody who owns shares. And the goal of this game is simply to have the most money. You're doing this by, when you build these trains on the board, you're putting down different tiles. The tiles are in different colors. There's yellow, green, and brown. And basically, in different stages of the game, a green tile will replace a yellow tile, and then a brown tile will replace a green tile. And basically, the only difference on these tiles are, one thing, the cities are worth more money as time goes by, but also, like a yellow tile has 2 connections. You can see there's one, it connects on this side and on this side. This is a yellow tile where it's just straight up and down. While once we get to green tiles, there are then 3 connections. You can see It's going out 3 sides, or this one here. And then once we get to the brown tile, there can be multiple connections, usually 4. And you can see right here, there's a 4 connection tile. And so when you upgrade, when you build track, it doesn't actually cost you money, but you can only build one at a time. What costs companies money are buying trains. You know, the initial trains aren't too expensive. You can see a level 3 train here costs $150, but as time goes by, the level 6 train costs $600, and you really will need those to win the game. So this game is mixing the stock market because you're buying and selling stock in these companies. You'll see that a company might not be doing so well, or someone will deliberately trash a company to do better. So there's buying and selling, and the game comes with paper money, which if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I'm not... Shut the door! You know I'm not a big fan of money, and the little chips represent the companies, but you know, you can replace the money with poker chips. You can replace, I guess, anything in the game. I showed you the main board, but there's also a smaller scoreboard here, which keeps track of the shares. And when I first saw this board, I had no idea how these shares moved, but now it makes sense. And everything seems to flow well. Now, the guys who were big fans of 1800 series, they said, oh, you know, don't judge the 1800 series on this game, Tom. You know, this one wasn't really that good. I don't know. Again, this is the only one I played, but I'm just comparing it to other experiences with train games. I like Cran Rail games. I like Age of Steam style games. I like, you know, I don't play too many. I like stock market games, but I don't often play a game where both of them are combined. It's very cutthroat, and I don't think anybody can win their first time playing unless everyone else is new, because when I went in, I had no clue how to price stock. I had no clue what stock to build. I didn't know the best spots on the board to build. And you know, you have to play several 3 or 4 hour games just to learn how to play. And some people are going to love that. It's a very analytical game, and it has some really intriguing ideas behind it. I'm just not sure that it's just maybe a little bit too cerebral for me. I did not dislike playing the game. It was interesting. But after 2 hours of it, I was ready to play something else. It just didn't hold me. And as time went by, sometimes it seemed like you were just waiting and waiting and waiting for some money to come in before you could finally do anything of substance. And if someone plays a tile in one spot or sells a company, one person could take a pretty bad hit. And in some instances, when one person takes a bad hit and they are forced to buy a train for their company or some such, and they lose their money and the game is over, suddenly it feels like Monopoly. You know, you went bankrupt, game over, ha ha ha. I don't, yeah, it's not. You know, I'm going to get lots of emails from people saying you compared the 1800 series to Monopoly, but I will say this is for a very select group of people. However, whether or not this is a good 1800 game, again, I haven't played many others, but it did teach me the system. And I think that's what the designers went about doing with this book. And so if you're interested in playing the 1800 series, this is a good one. I think you could read the book yourself and understand how to play the game. It takes you through. They answer questions. It's formatted very well. And so why not give it a try if it sounds like something you'd be interested in. But if you're looking for a light game, 18 Easy is not for you.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.